Welcome to part 2 of expansion slots. And in part 1 we talked about what expansion slots are, the technology they brought us, and so we'll just continue that conversation right here. And we got up to talking about PCI Express, or PCIe. Now PCIe is totally different from PCI. They just left that name PCI in there to help confuse us, and you see that sort of stuff all the time with the computer industry, so just kind of get used to it, okay? Now the PCI Express, or PCIe, was much smaller than the PCI slot, but they did do one favor for us at least, and that is they made these black. Now standard PCI is generally the connectors themselves are white, whereas you can see these are black. Now PCI Express transferred data over data lanes. Don't go any deeper than that for right now, but the more lanes you had, just like the more lanes you have on the freeway in the morning, the faster you can get to work, theoretically, right? Well, the one lane version was called the ×1, or the X1, or the PCI Express 1. And then of course PCI 2, 4, 8, 16, 32 are all available, and with each one of those, of course, it's a little more expensive. The cards that go in there are handling more processing power. They're usually handling more complex functionalities, but it's very easy to notice because they're each larger than the last one. And so the idea here is we need our expansion cards and our slots to provide faster, more efficient connections and services and data path flow and all that, and so we just kind of continue building up from there. Then we saw the mini PCI appear, and this is what the card looks like. Now you can deduce from this the slot, and the reason I didn't show you the slot is because these are normally used in laptops, and so you don't see a slot standing up. The slot's laying down horizontally, and you kind of slide this thing in from the side and then click it down into place, okay? Kind of like the RAM does in laptops. Now this is a 32-bit device, runs at 33 megahertz, and it really does the very same type functionality that a PCI type expansion device does in a desktop computer, except there are no external connections to the mini PCI. Make sure you remember that on the exam. The mini PCI goes in laptops and there are no external connections. So what can we do with it? Well, you can use it to handle functionalities like Bluetooth connectivity and data flow, Wi-Fi, sound cards, that sort of thing. And so this has become very popular in laptops, and you still see it in a lot of laptops. Now CNR, you need to know about this one. A+ likes it. You'll still see it out there in places. And CNR stands for Communications and Networking Riser. And the idea here was Intel created this, and they were trying to replace an older technology, and the idea was, again, to kind of segregate audio functions and some other things out onto its own board to make it get better and better and faster and take less load off the CPU and so forth. However, over time, Ethernet and audio integration into the motherboard have progressed to the point that CNR is now obsolete. It's cheaper to just integrate the stuff than it is to wire in this other riser and all the technology involved in that expansion slot business and all that. And also, if you remember, if you've been around it a while, the integrated audio and Ethernet connections weren't very good at the front. People tried to stay away from them as much as they could, but that really started to clean up, and as a result, CNR is now obsolete. You don't see it on new things. However, you will see it on micro ATX motherboards with lower end processors, so you will run into them out there providing support in the corporate world and especially in the consumer world, where things tend to live until they absolutely do not work anymore. Now AGP is kind of the darling. AGP, the accelerated graphics port. Notice in the graphic here, this is what one looks like, okay? It's kind of a darker color, and this is absolutely totally dedicated to graphics, because graphics has become a major source of processing power on our computers now, right? Our monitors get larger and larger, the color depth's getting bigger and bigger, we're going to high def, on and on and on. This runs at 32 bits and it provides 66 megahertz with various other modes. You can run it at the 2 times speed and get 133 megahertz, 4 times gives you 266, 8 times 533, and the AGP, the accelerated graphics port, has a direct connection to the CPU. Now that's huge, because The AGP can process and offload processing from the CPU, and the CPU can directly communicate with it. It can directly communicate with the CPU, and this drastically improves graphics functionality and support. Now, this is a 1.5 volt card for most motherboards. Just watch for that historically. That aspect's shown up on the exam. Don't know if it'll continue to or not, but you'll be ready if it does. Now there's a 0.8 volt card for the newest AGP 3.0 spec. Just watch for that little tidbit on the exam as well. So these expansion slots, as you can see in this two-part video, if you go back and look at part 1 and look at this one, jot down some notes about the various expansion slot types, whatever little clues you need to be able to recognize these on a motherboard, the little nuances that make them different, and you probably just need to memorize that information. Make yourself a quick little table, memorize that, and you should be able to get through any questions on the exam when it comes to expansion slots.